from here, I'm going to switch the topic for strategy of pandemic practice. We're taking a look at what happened during pandemic H1N1 back in 2009. And beforehand, I had a questionnaire also answered for this matter from all of you today. And for the image of pandemic control plan, you answered correct information, sharing medical needs broadly, transmission routes, yes, and sometimes privacy needed, and prevention, vaccine, management of media for securing information. And some people answer borderline activities needed for prevention of infection. In logistics for the right distribution of needs and medical items. And also coherency, as a matter of fact, is needed. And probably immediate isolation needed. So it's just depending on the situation. And quarantine at airport, protection of medical workers first. And there's epidemiology, time, place, person probably needed to be cleared. Speedy operation. And simplification of activity and control plan. Sanitation, hygiene, school closure, and on-set monitoring. So these kind of keywords you have put beforehand. And I think this is summarizing quite needed activities and importance through pandemic control plan. But the matter is how we could co-organize this kind of widespread activities and control method as coherency through pandemic control plan. So let's take a look at. So when we had 2009 pandemic, at the moment, because this activity was and the control plan was planned for avian influenza in advance. That's quite a fixation needed for the type of not that severe influenza at the moment. And shoreline strategy was designed anyway in advance as most rigorous quarantine and containment strategy, mostly focused on entry screening, quarantine at international airports, isolation of possibly infected people for up to 10 days, and containment strategy in community, like setting up fever clinics for special treatment, and isolation of possibly infected influenza patients, and school closures when students were found to have been infected. And all these kind of actions have been undertaken through operation, actually. And so namely, shoreline practice strategy has been such a sound like pleasure for government administrators during the time that, and all the measures and control discussions tended to be focused on for an intensive protocol of prevention and entry side, meaning quarantine, and just other discussion for the following matters like when spreading out or just prevention, preferences wide ahead. So those kinds of practice to follow after entry side was kind of delayed at the moment. So this log table shows you flow of activities and conduct happened through the practice of pandemic 2009 control plan. A little bit just to take into account. So when April 23rd, US CDC reported swine flu infected human in Mexico. April 25th to 26th, first meeting pandemic influenza committee was held in Japan. Then, as shoreline prevention activity, entry screening at airport quarantine for travelers from Mexico was launched. And after only in 3 days, 28th, WHO announced it entered into the phase 4. And quarantine was extended for travelers from US and Canada at the moment in Japan. And the trials for vaccine for pandemic influenza producing was started. Then it was only April 30th, WHO announced it entered into phase 5. Phase 5 is index of WHO is any human-to-human infection is monitored at least 2 countries under WHO jurisdiction. And May 1st, second meeting of pandemic influenza committee was held. And RT-PCR testing equipment were provided from National Institute to the Narita airport so that soon activities can be done. And fever clinics were settled in cities to be prepared for it. And announcement was done for possible avoidance of all kinds of social gatherings and school closures when necessary. On May 9th, first infection was found at Narita airport. And they immediately isolated 3 cases, diagnosis, and 49 cases suspected. As shoreline prevention activity monitoring for all travelers from Mexico and Canada and the US by prefectural government started. On May 13th, the major clinical symptoms was confirmed. That was not severe. Isolation period was cut from 10 to 7 days. On May 16th, first secondary infection was observed in internal Kobe City. And school closure was undertaken for all the Osaka and Hyogo areas and for junior high and high schools around 5 days. And May 19th, 43 cases were confirmed in Kobe. The fever clinics were dismissed. So from this practice, what we have learned is actually, so it's not possible to prevent any infections through shoreline activity. And even the school closures was not effective for prevention of mass spread. So this picture shows you how fast the virus spread happened after introduction of new virus type into this country. Starting around the Osaka area and from a range of Hokkaido to Okinawa, that's north to south end, around within 2 months, so all everywhere had virus spread, transmission and detection. So that was very fast. And this picture shows you this how severity at the moment, influenza-associated encephalopathy. And so blue lines is this first initiation period, pandemic influenza until 1 to 27 weeks. And the second largest period 2009 27th week to 2010 35 weeks. So this period, during the we had monitoring for this kind of a really increase or number of incidents for influenza-associated encephalopathy than previous 2 years. So the severity was this level at the moment.